even noticing it, had begun to create that public space between themselves where freedom could appear. At every meal that we eat together, freedom is invited to sit down. The chair remains vacant, but the place is set. The men of the European resistance were neither the first nor the last to lose their treasure. The history of revolutions from the summer of 1776 in Philadelphia and the summer of 1789 in Paris to the autumn of 1956 in Budapest, which politically spells out the innermost story of the modern age, could be told in parable form as the tale of an age-old treasure which, under the most varied circumstances, appears abruptly, unexpectedly, and disappears again under different mysterious conditions, as though it were a fata morgana. There exist, indeed, many good reasons to believe that the treasure was never a reality, but a mirage, that we deal here not with anything substantial, but with an apparition, and the best of these reasons is that the treasure thus far has remained nameless. Does something exist, not in outer space, but in the world and the affairs of men on earth, which has not even a name? Unicorns and fairy queens seem to possess more reality than the lost treasure of the revolutions. And yet if we turn our eyes to the beginnings of this era, and especially to the decades preceding it, we may discover to our surprise that the 18th century on both sides of the Atlantic possessed a name for this treasure, a name long since forgotten and lost, one is tempted to say, even before the treasure itself disappeared. The name in America was public happiness, which, with its overtones of virtue and glory, we understand hardly better than its French counterpart, public freedom. The difficulty for us is that in both instances the emphasis was on public. However that may be, it is in the namelessness of the lost treasure to which the poet alludes when he says that our inheritance was left us by no testament. The testament, telling the heir what will rightfully be his, wills past possessions for a future. Without testament, or, to resolve the metaphor, without tradition, which selects and names, which hands down and preserves, which indicates where the treasures are and what their worth is, there seems to be no willed continuity in time, and hence, humanly speaking, neither past nor future. Only sempiternal change of the world and the biological cycle of living creatures in it. Thus, the treasure was lost not because of historical circumstances and the adversity of reality, but because no tradition had foreseen its appearance or its reality, because no testament had willed it for the future. The loss, at any rate, perhaps inevitable in terms of political reality, was consummated by oblivion, by a failure of memory, which befell not only the heirs but, as it were, the actors, the witnesses, those who for a fleeting moment had held the treasure in the palms of their hands, in short, the living themselves. For remembrance, which is only one, though one of the most important modes of thought, is helpless outside a pre-established framework of reference, and the human mind is only on the rarest occasions capable of retaining something which is altogether unconnected. Thus the first who failed to remember what the treasure was like were precisely those who had possessed it and found it so strange that they did not even know how to name it. At the time this did not bother them. If they did not know their treasure, they knew well enough the meaning of what they did, and that it was beyond victory and defeat. Action that has a meaning for the living has value only for the dead, completion only in the minds that inherit and question it. The tragedy began not when the liberation of the country as a whole ruined almost automatically the small hidden islands of freedom that were doomed anyhow, but when it turned out that there was no mind to inherit and to question, to think about and to remember. The point of the matter is that the completion, which indeed every enacted event must have in the minds of those who then are to tell the story and to convey its meaning, eluded them. And without this thinking completion after the act, without the articulation accomplished by remembrance, There simply was no